Well, a week ago today, Governor Brad Little held a press conference to announce and explain why he was vetoing two legislative bills that would take some of the power afforded the governor during an emergency declaration and give it to the legislature. It was a big deal for him to do so, as evidenced by the public format, where he touted the support of former governors from Otter to Kempthorne to Risch to Batt. Then the next day, on Saturday, Governor Little signed into law another bill with a lot less fanfare, but probably with much more controversy attached to it. Senate Bill 1110, the Initiatives Bill, a bill that would change the number of signatures needed to get an initiative on a state ballot from 6% of registered voters in 18 legislative districts to 6% in all 35, nearly doubling the threshold for a grassroots issue to be brought before voters. Governor Little explained his weekend decision this way in a letter to Lieutenant Governor Janice McGeachin, who presides over the Senate. Idaho has an important interest in ensuring that our ballots are not cluttered with initiatives that have not demonstrated sufficient grassroots support. Under current law, an initiative can qualify for the ballot after collecting voter signatures in only a few of Idaho's more populated urban areas. Well, first, 18 of 35 districts is a bit more than a few. And Idaho was already one of the most rigid when it comes to requirements. Since 2013, when the previous initiative process was put in place, 15 initiatives have been attempted. Only 2 qualified to get on the ballot. And of those 2, or of those 15, I should say, actually only 1 became law, Medicaid expansion in 2018, passing with more than 60% of the votes, by the way, which is actually a better voter approval than the lieutenant governor that year. Governor Little's explanation went on. Article 3, Section 1 of the Idaho Constitution guarantees to the people an initiative and referendum process. However, I cannot overlook that the same constitutional provision limits those rights to such conditions and in such manner as may be provided by acts of the legislature, meaning the Constitution gives the legislature the ability to change those conditions, which they did. I appreciate that signing this bill will be controversial. Very few issues elicit such strong feelings from both sides of the debate. However, the governor's office didn't seem to hear very much from the "we support Senate Bill 1110" side of the debate in the days leading up to him signing it. After asking last Friday how many emails and phone calls they received on this bill, we learned there were about 4,100 phone calls sent to the governor's office, and we were sent about 1,018 emails that came into the governor's office in regards to how he would handle Senate Bill 1110. Of those, more than 5,000 phone calls and emails, only about 114 encouraged the governor to sign it into law. 98% of those asked him to veto it, saying things like, "Please veto Senate Bill 1110, as it limits the voice of the people to introduce ballot initiatives. Introducing a ballot initiative does not make it law. It still requires a statewide vote where every registered voter has an equal voice. Freedom does not come from limiting conversation, but captivity and tyranny do." That was from Jeffrey in Idaho Falls. Jordan in Pocatello wrote, "I firmly believe that it should be difficult to qualify initiatives for the ballot. In most cases, it should be the responsibility of elected representatives and not ordinary citizens to propose and enact laws. Without a doubt, these barriers will block grassroots initiatives from ever making the ballot again." Stephanie in Boise was deeply concerned and shocked that our legislature, who prides itself on their personal freedoms, no masks, no lockdowns, etc., has taken it upon themselves to curtail the freedoms and rights of Idahoans to participate in direct democracy. This is beyond hypocritical. I wish to contact you to keep in mind that we, the people, do not need our hands tied by those who wish only their agendas, their rules, and laws be heard and made into laws. All Idahoans deserve to vote, to be able to bring forth new ideas and hopes for every person to vote and use the initiative process for their ideas," wrote Victoria in Bonners Ferry. Michelle in Coeur d'Alene was a little more concise. "Please veto 1110 and at least preserve some aspect of the conservative Idaho way that lets the people's voices be heard. Thank you." The vote is a precious gift of democracy. Senate Bill 1110 would make it virtually impossible for any grassroots initiative to qualify for the ballot, said Deborah in Sandpoint. Ed, who lives in Boise, wrote this to Governor Little. "Please veto the legislature's effort to undo the right of the people of Idaho to effectively access the initiative process. The idea of giving one legislative district the power to effectively veto what otherwise could be the will of a massive majority of Idahoans is patently undemocratic. Just a small sampling of those 5,000 emails, or I should say the 1,000 emails which we were sent today, which were in addition, by the way, to the 16,000 signature petition dropped off at the governor's office earlier this month, asking him to veto Senate Bill 1110. Governor Little signed it anyway. Reclaim Idaho, the group that was successful in getting the Medicaid expansion initiative on the ballot, has already said they plan to challenge the new law in court. And sure, we know how this works. We all know how it works. It's much easier and much more common to complain than to compliment. Those opposed tend to make more noise, right? And maybe that's the case here. It's just a small percentage of the million registered voters in Idaho. But in a move that at best oozes irony and at worst drips with hypocrisy, the morning Governor Little signed Senate Bill 1110, he sent out this tweet, urging Idahoans to share their concerns with their legislators about the two bills he vetoed the day before. Tell them to reconsider their vote, stop an override of Senate Bill 1136 and House Bill 135, the two bills seeking to limit his powers in an emergency. Meaning, in the span of 24 hours, Governor Little refused to relinquish any of his powers and asked for help in keeping it from happening. But he also had no issue taking some power away from Idaho's citizens, despite many asking for his help to keep it from happening. Our elected leaders claim they take up space at the State House on our behalf. But this last week, this session, begs the question, does making it known what you think about what they're about to do matter much?